Hello and welcome to today's class. It's Tuesday. It's going to be a short little lecture because we'll get you ready for the test. So I'm just going to giving you a new look today too of the background here at the shop. But I'm going to take you to Blackboard. Blackboard will be our backdrop for this, and I will not show you the test and I haven't finished the test, but as we go here to Blackboard, we will go through what is over the test. I'll take you through how it is now. When you get it, it'll be a little bit different than this because what you get, everyone gets the questions in a different order than what I'll be reading here. And so that changes things as well. So I'll take you here to our page so that you can see it. First of all, great job on the videos. Uh, Love to see your bright, smiley, shining faces. And again, there is a bit of a disconnect when you do this class um, remotely or online. And so, just for example, matter of fact, we've had a couple of different people who I had said, "Hey, you haven't been participating in the message boards." Clearly, if we're in class, I would notice that they've never been at all. Didn't really notice it online. Turned out neither one of them knew they were registered in the class. How about that? So that's part of the online format as well. So again, by the time you see this, maybe not, but very shortly thereafter, every one of our PowerPoints will be in a folder called PowerPoints. Every one of our lectures will be in either week one or week two or the one from yesterday. Um, so week one folder, week two folder, and then yesterday's. Um, so everything will be there and available to you. So when you take the test, that will be available. So the test will be anywhere from 35 to 50 questions, all of them multiple choice or true and false. And I tried to do fill in the blanks online, but if you don't spell the word exactly right or you don't capitalize it exactly like I did, then you get graded off for it. Then I had to go back in and regrade the test. So I don't want to do that. The other thing that we talk about is curve. So generally, if you don't do well as a group, I will curve the test at the end. Anywhere from last semester we had as even as much as a 10-point curve. So that's got to be good news, right? So let's go through this. So one of the questions we'll ask about is the business model most often used in electronic media. We discussed this in class. And remember, we mentioned ESPN. We mentioned the fact we have a product. We have a product we're trying to sell to an audience. We also have a product we're trying to sell to advertisers. What is that called? Talked about this right here in week one, probably the very first lecture. So look that up. We talked a lot about management function or the roles that managers play. So know the difference between a function. Remember, a manager does certain things, and the manager also plays different roles. Remember, leader, a representative, a liaison, those things also, again, done, talked about in the first week. So know those. Uh, we talked about the four common activities in electronic media. Know those. So again, these are things you can have ready for you when you're watching the test. And again, keep in mind what we talked about our primary business model that we follow. We talk a lot about ethics, so look at your ethics questions. And remember, too, again, going into management, we need to know the skills they have, the roles a manager plays, the functions a manager has. And so remember the difference between skills, which might be human skills, marketing skills, technical skills, financial skills. Remember those things. Roles, which we talked about that. Functions, which means just the day-to-day stuff you do in your job. Know those differences. Um, know the difference between what a lower manager does, a middle manager does, and those type of things. Remember too the concept we talked about, which was cord cutting, which means cable channels. It's hurting ESPN. We talked about this with ESPN. ESPN losing a lot of their viewers because of cord cutting. People, not necessarily, especially your age group, no longer tied into media. Remember emotional intelligence. Look at the emotional intelligence slide. Understand what emotional intelligence is. Understanding your surroundings. Um, Learn about knowing your feelings and the feelings of others. All those things are important. So remember that about emotional intelligence. Talk about convergence. Understand about the convergence of media. Again, all this in week 1. And I told you about KLBK and KMAC here in town, owned by the same owner now, called the duopoly. Remember that. I just gave you a question there. Talked a little bit about the elimination of radio ownership restrictions. You can have that. Know about that. And again, we know, going back, here's another question about responsibilities a manager faces. Remember, we talked about oligopolies, monopolies, perfect competition. Remember those. And remember, those are called market structure. Remember that a lot. And then also, I might ask you, what's example of market structure and what is not? We talk about how radio stations or television stations can differentiate themselves um, amongst viewers. Maybe call letters, maybe logos, maybe website, maybe talent. That's a way you can differentiate yourself. Advertising rates, not a tool that you would use to differentiate yourself. And again, especially in radio, format is definitely a way you would differentiate. Think back again on ethical decisions. I can't remember what lecture ethical decisions was. Remember we talked about different ethical decisions. I talked about something that I went through in my job as the manager of the television station. Think about those things. Know about mission statements and what we do and why we do things. Remember about financial planning and what you should do as a financial manager, what you should do overall as a manager. And think about all those things. Again, looking through here, we talked about this in class about ESPN. We talked about how newspapers took hits in advertising. Remember that? Again, go back to thinking about a lot of the questions about ethics in society. Going through financial things as well. I'm really making this as easy as possible for this for you. I want to see everybody get at least an 80, but hit those things. Look at all the chapters. Look at all the PowerPoints. I'll put every chapter PowerPoint in there except for, I believe, chapter 4. It's 3 or 4. I can't remember, but if it's missing one, we're missing it for a reason. Look at those. Look at what's going to happen on those. Look at the lectures. Go back. I know it's impossible to go back and listen to all the lectures, but if you paid any attention, if you wrote any notes, those should be easy to discern as well. So again, I'm going to try to make this test as easy as possible. I want really good grades. I don't want you guys starting out with bad grades. I want all this to be really ready for you to go, and I want you all feeling really good about yourself and where you are grade-wise after this particular test is over. Here's the book. So let me look at the book really quickly. So we'll go through the chapters. Some of the questions I haven't written yet. Remember about leadership. Remember about the difference between management and leadership. So chapter 1, managing electronic media and digital media. Yes, all that stuff in there. And we talked about how the world has changed, and that should be in there. Chapter 2, the media business environment. Remember, we talked about market structure. We talked about different business models. We talked about forces affecting markets. All that in the book. Chapter 3, ethics of management. That'll be in here. Chapter 4, theories of management will not be in here. I already talked about ethics. Remember the ethical dilemmas and things that you go through. Chapter 5, financial management. Remember that. And chapter 6, managing personnel, which was our last lecture yesterday. So know that about the hiring process. Know about firing somebody. Know that how you communicate with people. Know all those things, and that would be something from chapter 6 on your test. So again, I'll make this easy as possible. True or false, multiple choice. Every answer will be on one of those PowerPoints. Some of it in the book, but I know a lot of you don't have the book, so it should be in the PowerPoint, should be in the lectures, and it should not be any issue at all. And again, if you take the test and you come back with a score and it's like 72, do not despair. Let's see what everybody got. Let me look at it, and then I've got a little structure I use to apply a curve. And remember, again, last semester, first test, I did not give a curve at all because we had a couple of 100s. Second test, I gave a 10-point curve. Third test, I believe I gave an 11-point curve. So again, it depends on how the group does. Hopefully everyone does well and everyone can get a good grade. I understand about online, it's a little harder to pay attention. It's a little harder to stay with the lecture when we're in class. You know exactly what's happening, but that's what you need to treat the lectures like, exactly like you would in class. I'll try to put the test up, even though the test is Wednesday, I'll try to put it up sometime Tuesday, and you'll have all the way until midnight on Wednesday to take the test. So I'll put it up there for a long time and available for you to take it. So please email me if you have any questions. How about this? Very short session today. I expect you all to study and be ready to go and do well on the test. And we'll come back around and talk to you on Thursday. So thank you again for your time and consideration, and we will talk to you Thursday.